The sun cast long shadows across the hidden shipyard, deep in the asteroid belt beyond Neptune. Far from prying alien eyes, humanity's greatest secret took shape. For 50 years, Earth had bowed to the Valtharian Empire, but no more. Admiral John Carter stood at the viewport of Command Station Alpha. His weathered face showed the strain of 15 years leading Project Leviathan. Below him, thousands of workers moved like ants around the massive frame of the U.S. Harbinger. "Status report," Carter said. His second-in-command, Commander Steve Bell, handed him a tablet. "Final systems check complete, sir. We're at 98% readiness." Carter nodded. The Harbinger was enormous. At 3 miles long, it dwarfed anything the Valtharians had ever built. Its hull gleamed with a special alloy that absorbed scanner signals. The ship was invisible to alien technology. "And the new drive system?" asked Carter. "Lieutenant Miller says it's ready for final testing." Kate Miller was a genius. At just 32, she had solved problems that had stumped scientists for decades. Her new propulsion system didn't use normal space. It slipped between the layers of reality. The Valtharians had nothing like it. "Tell her to proceed," Carter said. Far away on Earth, in the gleaming towers of New Geneva, Valtharian Inspector Xalthex was bored. These humans were so simple, so weak. His large purple eyes scanned the latest production reports from the Sol system. "Sir, there's something odd in these numbers," said his aide, a young Valtharian named Drez. "What now?" Xalthex's 4 nostrils flared with annoyance. "Metal production is up 40%, but reported ship construction is flat, and energy usage in the outer system has tripled in the last 5 years." Xalthex waved a 6-fingered hand. "The humans are inefficient. They waste resources. It's why they'll always be servants." "But sir, enough. Do you think these hairless apes could hide anything from the Empire? They can barely reach their own moon without our help." Drez bowed and backed away. The warning signs remained unheeded. Back at the shipyard, Kate Miller floated in zero gravity around the massive engine core. Her brown hair was tied back in a tight bun. Sweat beaded on her forehead despite the cold. "Power levels stable at 85%, reported her assistant, Jim Boyd. "Quantum field is holding." Kate tapped commands into her wrist computer. The core hummed louder. A soft blue glow filled the chamber. "Taking it to 95%, she said. The humming deepened. The blue glow brightened. Some workers backed away nervously. "Field integrity at 100%, Jim said, his voice filled with wonder. "It's working, Kate. It's really working." Kate allowed herself a small smile. 6 years of her life had gone into this engine. An engine that broke all the rules the Valtharians had taught humans. An engine that would change everything. In his private quarters, Admiral Carter received the test results. He opened a secure channel to the United Earth Defense Council. "Madam President, Project Leviathan has reached completion stage. The Harbinger is ready." President Laura Summers appeared on screen. Her face was serious. "You're certain it will work, John?" Carter nodded. "As certain as we can be without actual combat. The Valtharians have no idea what we've built." "The risk is enormous," she said. "If we fail, Earth burns. And if we do nothing, we remain slaves forever," Carter replied. "The time has come to show the galaxy that humanity is not as weak as they think." President Summers was quiet for a long moment. Then she straightened her shoulders. "Very well, Admiral. Operation Revelation is approved. Bring the Harbinger home. Let's show these aliens what humans can do." As the communication ended, Carter looked again at the massive ship below. 50 years of planning. 15 years of secret construction. The greatest gamble in human history. The U.S. Harbinger would soon reveal itself to the Valtharian Empire. And nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same again. The Valtharian battle fleet appeared at the edge of the solar system without warning. 12 massive warships, led by the dreadnought Emperor's Fist. Their purple hulls gleamed in the distant sunlight. On Earth, emergency alarms rang through the United Earth Defense Council chambers. President Summers rushed to the command center, her face pale but determined. "What do they want?" she asked. General Paul Harris pointed to the main screen. "They've sent to demands. The Empire is raising our tribute by 60%. They want more medals, more workers, and 10,000 new soldiers for their wars." President Summers clenched her fists. "They already take half of everything we produce. They say if we refuse, they'll bomb our largest cities as an example." The room fell silent. This had happened before. 20 years ago, the Valtharians had destroyed Rio de Janeiro when Earth protested tribute increases, 6 million dead in minutes. President Summers took a deep breath. "Send the signal to Admiral Carter. It's time." In the asteroid belt, the U.S. Harbinger powered up its systems. Inside the massive bridge, Admiral Carter gave the order. "Begin Operation Revelation. Set course for Earth." Captain Patricia Wright, commander of the Harbinger, nodded. "Aye, sir." All hands to battle stations. The mighty ship moved out from its hiding place. Its massive engines glowed blue. Around it, asteroid chunks that had concealed it for years drifted away. Lieutenant Kate Miller watched from engineering as her quantum drive hummed to life. "Drive stable at 100%. We're ready, Captain." On the bridge, Communications Officer Diane Foster opened a channel. "Earth Defense Council acknowledges. Ambassador Nelson is preparing to meet with the Valtharians." The Harbinger accelerated. It moved impossibly fast for a ship its size. Stars blurred. Then, suddenly, it appeared near Earth, directly between the planet and the Valtharian fleet. In the diplomatic chamber aboard the Emperor's Fist, Ambassador Frank Nelson faced the Valtharian commander. Nelson was a tall man with gray hair and steady eyes. He showed no fear. "Commander Zurex, Earth has faithfully served the Empire for 50 years. We cannot bear these new demands. Our people will starve." Zyrex laughed. His purple skin wrinkled around his 4 eyes. "Your concerns are not our problem, human. Pay the tribute or burn. Those are your choices." At that moment, an aide rushed in. "Commander, an unknown vessel has appeared." Zyrex frowned. "Impossible. No ship could approach without our sensors detecting it." On the main screen, the U.S. Harbinger came into view. It was enormous, nearly twice the size of the Emperor's Fist. Its sleek hull reflected no scanner signals. Zyrex stood up, his 4 eyes wide with shock. "What trickery is this?" Ambassador Nelson smiled. "Not trickery, Commander. Just a long overdue introduction." Back on the Harbinger's bridge, Admiral Carter nodded to Communications Officer Foster. "Send the message." Foster pressed a button. Her voice was clear and strong as it broadcast across all frequencies to the Valtharian fleet. "This is the United Earth ship Harbinger to the Valtharian battle fleet. The terms of our arrangement have changed." Captain Wright stepped forward. "Activate defensive shields. Power up weapon systems." Around the massive ship, blue energy fields shimmered into existence. On the weapons deck, Weapons Officer Alan Price directed his team as they targeted the Valtharian ships. "All systems ready, Captain. Awaiting your orders." In the diplomatic chamber, Commander Zyrex's face turned dark purple with rage. He pointed a 6-fingered hand at Ambassador Nelson. "You dare to challenge the Empire? One ship against our fleet. This is suicide." Nelson stood tall. "Look again, Commander. That's not just a ship. That's humanity's Declaration of Independence." On Earth, President Summers addressed the Defense Council. "Today changes everything. Whether we live or die, humanity will no longer bow to tyrants." In space, the Harbinger faced the Valtharian fleet. 50 years of preparation had led to this moment. The impossible ship, the secret supercarrier, now revealed to the galaxy. The battle for Earth's future was about to begin. Commander Zyrex paced the bridge of the Emperor's Fist. His purple face was dark with anger. This was not possible. Humans were weak. They built only small ships. They had no advanced technology. Yet there it was. The human vessel filled the view screen. It was huge. It was like nothing he had ever seen. "Scan that ship again," he shouted. His science officer trembled. "Sir, our scans cannot penetrate their hull. We detect no energy readings." Xyrex slammed his fist down. "Open fire." A warning shot across their bow. On the Harbinger, Lieutenant Commander Alan Price watched the Voltharian ship's weapon ports open. "Captain, they're charging weapons," he reported. Captain Patricia Wright nodded calmly. "Maintain position. Shields at maximum." Admiral Carter stood beside her. "Let them fire first. Let them see what they're dealing with." The Emperor's fist fired. A bright beam of energy shot toward the Harbinger. It struck the blue shield and spread out like water on glass. The shield glowed brighter for a moment, then returned to normal. In engineering, Kate Miller smiled as she watched the energy readings. Shields absorbed 100% of their attack. Power levels actually increased by 2%. On the bridge, Communications Officer Diane Foster looked up. "Admiral, the Voltharians are hailing us." "On screen," Carter ordered. Commander Xyrex appeared. His 4 eyes were wide with surprise, but his voice was full of rage. "Unknown vessel, you will power down and surrender immediately. Your illegal ship violates all treaties with the Empire." Admiral Carter stepped forward. "This is Admiral John Carter of the U.S. Harbinger. We recognize no treaties that make slaves of Earth's people. You will leave our system now." Xyrex laughed. "One ship cannot stand against the might of our fleet. This is your last warning." The screen went dark. Carter turned to Captain Wright. "They need a demonstration. Tactical, target their 3 smallest ships. Disable engines only." Lieutenant Commander Price nodded. "Targeting complete, sir." Captain Wright gave the order. "Fire." 3 blue beams shot from the Harbinger. Each one hit a Voltharian ship with perfect accuracy. The ships spun out of formation, their engines dark. "No life signs lost," reported Price. "Their ships are disabled, but crews are unharmed." Commander Xyrex could not believe what he was seeing. 3 ships disabled in seconds, with weapons he had never seen before. All ships, attack pattern Delta. Destroy that human vessel. The Voltharian fleet moved into attack formation. Energy beams and missiles flew toward the Harbinger. Captain Wright remained calm. "Launch fighter squadrons. Defensive pattern Alpha." From the sides of the Harbinger, hundreds of small ships poured out. They were fast and maneuverable. They flew in perfect formation, led by Wing Commander Ryan Hughes. "Wolf Squadron, take the left flank. Eagle Squadron, right flank. Remember your training. These aliens have never faced human pilots before." The human fighters moved like nothing the Voltharians had ever seen. They dodged energy beams and intercepted missiles before they could reach the Harbinger. On a small moon of Jupiter, a secret human camera drone recorded everything. The footage was sent through hidden relays to every corner of the galaxy. On 100 worlds, enslaved species watched as humans fought back against the Empire. 2 hours later, it was over. 6 Voltharian ships were disabled. 2 more had retreated with heavy damage. The Emperor's fist remained, its weapons silent. On its bridge, Commander Xyrex stared in disbelief. 40% of his fleet defeated, and the human ship showed no damage at all. "Pull back," he ordered quietly. "We must inform the Emperor." As the Voltharian flagship turned away, Admiral Carter watched from the Harbinger's bridge. "Send one last message," he told Communications Officer Foster. She nodded and opened the channel. "To the Voltharian Empire. The people of Earth are free from this day forward. Any further attempts to threaten our world will be met with the full force of our defense. This is not a negotiation." On Earth, people cheered as they watched the battle on their screens. For the first time in 50 years, hope spread across the planet. And far away, in the halls of power on distant worlds, new whispers began. The humans have done the impossible. They have defied the Empire, and they have won. The great hall of the Galactic Council on Valthar Prime buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from 100 worlds sat in tall seats around the circular room. Emperor Krozak of the Valtharian Empire sat on his high throne, his purple skin dark with anger. These humans dare to attack our ships. They dare to challenge the Empire. His voice echoed through the chamber. The doors at the end of the hall opened. A single human walked in. Ambassador Frank Nelson moved with calm dignity. Behind him walked 2 human guards in simple blue uniforms. The alien representatives whispered. Some had never seen a human before. Others had never seen one walk so boldly. Nelson reached the center of the room and bowed slightly. Esteemed members of the council, I bring greetings from Earth. Emperor Krozak leaned forward. You bring insult and rebellion. Your secret warship has attacked Imperial vessels. Nelson's voice remained steady. We defended our planet against an unjust threat. The U.S. Harbinger prevented violence. It did not start it. One ship, one lucky victory, said the Emperor. Our Grand Armada will crush your world. Ambassador Nelson smiled slightly. The Harbinger is not alone. He raised a small device. Above the council chamber, a hologram appeared. 6 massive ships, each like the Harbinger, moved in formation around the Earth. We have built 7 supercarriers, said Nelson, each with technology beyond anything the Empire possesses. We kept one visible. The others remained hidden until now. The chamber erupted in shocked voices. Emperor Krozak stood up, his 4 eyes wide with disbelief. Back on the Harbinger, Lieutenant Maria Diaz worked in the intelligence center. Her dark eyes scanned countless messages flowing through the ship's advanced systems. Admiral, she called to Carter, I'm intercepting Imperial communications. They're mobilizing the Grand Armada. 15 battle groups. At least 200 ships. Admiral Carter nodded. As expected, they can't allow our challenge to go unanswered. Sir, there's something else, said Diaz. Messages from other worlds. The Naborians, the Tellurites, the Azuri. They're reaching out to us. Carter raised an eyebrow. More enemies. No, sir. Diaz looked up. Potential allies. They've suffered under the Empire too. They saw our battle. They want to talk. Captain Wright entered the intelligence center. The President has approved diplomatic missions to all 3 worlds. The Harbinger will lead the first one. 3 days later, the Harbinger appeared in orbit around Neighbor, a blue-green world with 3 moons. The Naborians were tall beings with skin like tree bark. They had been under Imperial rule for over a century. As Captain Wright led a delegation to the planet's surface, crowds of Naborians lined the streets. They watched the humans with hope in their large eyes. Prime Minister Kalx of Neighbor greeted them in the Crystal Palace. For generations, we believed no one could stand against the Empire. Now we see it as possible. Captain Wright nodded. Together, we are stronger. Meanwhile, on the Harbinger, Officer Sam Wilson made a strange discovery. While analyzing Imperial data files, he found heavily encrypted information about the far edge of the galaxy. Lieutenant Diaz, he called, I think I found something important. Diaz looked at his screen. What is it? The Empire has been hiding something. Ancient ruins on a distant planet. They found them 100 years ago and kept them secret. What kind of ruins? Wilson's face was serious. The records are unclear. But whatever they found scared them, and there are human symbols in the images. In the diplomatic chambers on Neighbor, Captain Wright signed the first alliance treaty. Earth and Neighbor would stand together. The Tellurites and Azuri would soon follow. As Ambassador Nelson prepared to address the people of Neighbor, news arrived from Earth. The Valtharian Emperor had publicly declared humans to be enemies of the Empire. The Grand Armada was on the move. The greatest space battle in galactic history was about to begin. And deep in space, ancient secrets waited to be revealed. Emperor Krozak's war room was dark and cold. Maps of the galaxy glowed on large screens. 20 of his top generals stood around a large table, their purple faces serious in the dim light. "The humans have revealed 7 supercarriers," said General Vorex. "Our spies confirm they all have the same advanced technology as the first one." The Emperor slammed his 6-fingered hand on the table. "How did they build such ships in secret? How did they develop such technology?" No one answered. No one knew. "What of our new allies?" asked the Emperor. "The Naborians, Tellurites, and Azuri have all signed treaties with Earth," said Admiral Zonk. "Their ships are small, but they know our tactics." Emperor Krozak's 4 eyes narrowed. "We need more time to gather the Grand Armada. Send a message to the humans. Tell them I wish to meet." On the Harbinger, Captain Wright received the message. She stood with Ambassador Nelson on the bridge. "It's a trap," said Nelson. "The Emperor never negotiates." Captain Wright nodded. "Agreed. But we need to know what they're planning. We'll meet them on neutral ground." The space station at Centauri Prime. 3 days later, Captain Wright and Ambassador Nelson sat in the meeting room of Centauri Prime Station. It was a large metal structure that floated in space between star systems. Many species used it for trade and diplomacy. The door opened. Emperor Krozak entered with 4 guards. His royal robes were deep red with gold symbols. "Captain Wright, Ambassador Nelson." The Emperor's voice was smooth. "Your ships are impressive. Such technology would be valuable to the Empire." Ambassador Nelson smiled politely. "We are not interested in joining the Empire, Your Highness. We seek peace between equals." The Emperor waved a hand. "Of course. Perhaps we can find common ground." As they talked, deep in the Harbinger, Technical Chief George Brown worked in the main computer room. Warning lights flashed on his screen. "Someone's trying to hack our systems," he said to his team. "Block all outside signals." His fingers moved quickly over the controls. "The attack is coming from Centauri Prime Station. They're using the diplomatic channel." On the station, Captain Wright noticed a small device on the Emperor's wrist glowing. She tapped her own wrist twice, the silent alarm signal to the Harbinger. "Your Highness," she said calmly, "I believe this meeting is over." The Emperor's face darkened. "You humans think you're so clever, but you have no idea what's coming." Back on Earth, Lieutenant Joe Martins led a special team. They had received secret information from their new allies. The Empire had built planet-killer weapons, huge bombs that could destroy entire worlds. "We have the location," Martinez told his team as they boarded their small, fast ship. "A hidden facility near the Valtharian moon of Drex. Our job is to get in, confirm the weapons exist, and plant tracking devices." His team of 6 wore special suits that blocked scanner signals. They were the best of Earth's special forces. As their ship raced toward Valtharian space, another human vessel appeared from hyperspace near Jupiter. It was the U.S. Defiance, the Harbinger's sister ship. Captain Lisa Moore stood on its bridge. "Sensors detect Imperial sabotage ships," she said. "They're heading for Earth's defense grid." Her weapons officer nodded. "They don't know we're here. We can surprise them." The Defiance moved silently toward the Imperial ships. Its massive guns charged up. On Valthar Prime, Emperor Krozak returned to his palace. His plan to hack the human ship had failed. Now war was certain. "Deploy the planet killers," he told his generals. "Target Earth first, then their new allies. We will make an example of them all." Little did he know that Lieutenant Martinez and his team were already inside the weapon facility, and the U.S. Defiance was about to show the Empire that humanity had more surprises waiting. Red alert sirens blared across the human colony on Proxima Centauri. It was Earth's first colony, home to 5 million people. Governor Andy Clark stood in the command center, watching the screens with growing fear. 200 ships, he said quietly. The entire Valtharian Grand Armada. His communications officer looked up. "Governor, Earth Defense Command is responding. All 7 supercarriers are on the way." Outside the colony's protective dome, people looked up at the night sky. Hundreds of bright spots appeared. The Valtharian ships moved into attack formation. Admiral Zonk stood on the bridge of the Empire's new flagship, the Destroyer of Worlds. It was 3 times the size of the old Emperor's fist. "The humans will arrive soon," he told his officers. "But even their supercarriers cannot fight our entire fleet. Today we crush their rebellion once and for all." Deep in space, 7 massive ships moved faster than should be possible. Admiral Carter stood on the Harbinger's bridge with Captain Wright. "All carriers report ready, Admiral," said Communications Officer Foster. "Defense Constellation Alpha formation is prepared." The Admiral nodded. "Tell Captain Moore and the Defiance to take the lead. The rest will follow in circular formation." In engineering, Lieutenant Kate Miller worked frantically with her team. The quantum communicators are online. All ships can now coordinate instantaneously, no matter the distance. This was humanity's greatest advantage. Their ships could talk to each other without delays. The Valtharians relied on light-speed communications that took time to travel between ships. Near Proxima Centauri, the U.S. Defiance appeared first. Captain Lisa Moore gave immediate orders. "Deploy all fighters. Shield generators at maximum. Begin evacuation of the colony." The other 6 carriers appeared moments later. They moved into a perfect circle, creating a barrier between the colony and the Imperial fleet. On the Harbinger, Admiral Carter opened a channel to all human ships. "This is Admiral Carter. Today we fight not just for Earth, but for all free people of the galaxy. Remember your training. Trust your ships. Trust each other." The Valtharian fleet opened fire. Thousands of energy beams shot toward the human ships. The carrier shields glowed bright blue as they absorbed the attack. "Shields holding at 92%, reported Lieutenant Commander Price. All carriers report similar status." Admiral Carter nodded. "Execute attack pattern Omega." The 7 carriers moved in perfect coordination. They fired their main weapons together, cutting through the Valtharian formations. On the colony's main medical center, Dr. Heather Johnston coordinated the emergency response. Evacuation ships filled with children and families took off every few minutes. "How much longer?" she asked her assistant. "At least 2 more hours to get everyone out," he replied. Dr. Johnston looked at the battle raging above. "I don't think we have that much time." In space, the battle grew more intense. 3 human carriers now showed damage. The Valtharian fleet had lost 40 ships, but continued to press the attack. On the Harbinger, Lieutenant Kate Miller approached Admiral Carter. "Sir, we need to use the Stellar Lance." Captain Wright looked alarmed. "It's never been tested in battle. We don't know if it will work." "We don't have a choice," said Miller. "The colony won't survive much longer." Admiral Carter was silent for a moment. Then he nodded. "Prepare the lance." Deep in the Harbinger, a massive weapon powered up. It had taken years to build, using technology found in the ancient ruins that Officer Wilson had discovered. The front of the Harbinger opened like a flower. A bright white light gathered there, growing more intense by the second. On the Destroyer of Worlds, Admiral Zonk saw the light. "What is that? What are they doing?" His science officer looked up from his scanner, his face pale. "Sir, energy readings are off the charts. We've never seen anything like this." Admiral Carter gave the final order. "Fire the Stellar Lance." A beam of pure white energy shot from the Harbinger. It cut through space, through 20 Valtharian ships, and stopped just short of the Destroyer of Worlds. For a moment, everything was silent. Then the Imperial ships began to retreat. The Battle of Proxima Centauri was over. Humanity had won. 1 month after the Battle of Proxima Centauri, the Harbinger hovered in space above the neutral world of Terra Nova. Below, on the planet's surface, representatives from 26 species gathered in the Great Hall of Peace. Admiral John Carter stood at the tall windows, looking down at the beautiful green planet. Captain Patricia Wright joined him. "The Emperor's ship has arrived," she said. "He's coming alone," as agreed. Carter nodded. After losing half the Grand Armada, He had no choice. In the hall, long tables formed a circle. Each species had a place. In the center stood a round platform where speakers could address everyone. Ambassador Frank Nelson welcomed each group as they arrived. The tall, tree-like Naborians, the small, quick Tellurites, the blue-skinned Azuri, and finally, Emperor Krozak of the Valtharians. The Emperor looked smaller without his royal guards and fancy throne. His purple skin had lost some of its shine. He walked with the stiffness of someone who knew they had lost. "Let us begin," said Ambassador Nelson. "We are here to establish a new order, one based on freedom and cooperation, not conquest and slavery." For 3 days, they talked. They argued. They found common ground. On the 4th day, the United Galactic Alliance was born. Each world would govern itself. Trade would be fair. Technology would be shared. And a council of all species would make decisions that affected everyone. Emperor Krozak signed last. As he put down his pen, he looked at Admiral Carter. "You humans surprised us. In 50 years, you went from primitive technology to building ships that defeated our best fleet." "We had help," said Carter, "from the ruins. Far away from Terra Nova, on a distant planet called Althera, Officer Sam Wilson led a team of scientists. They stood in a massive stone chamber. The walls were covered with ancient writing and pictures. Some showed human figures, others showed the stars. These ruins are over 50,000 years old," Wilson told Lieutenant Diaz, who had joined the expedition. "But look at this." He pointed to a wall that showed humans standing with other species around a circular table. It looked eerily like the gathering happening now on Terra Nova. "This has all happened before," said Wilson. "Humans were part of a galactic alliance in the distant past. Then something happened. Something that sent us back to Earth, made us forget." "And the Valtharians knew?" asked Diaz. Wilson nodded. "They found these ruins a century ago. They saw that humans had once been powerful. That's why they kept us down, controlled our technology. They were afraid we would remember." Back on Earth, President Laura Summers addressed the people. Huge screens in every city showed her speech. "Today marks a new chapter for humanity. We are no longer alone, no longer oppressed. The United Galactic Alliance opens the stars to us as equals with all other species." The people cheered. Across the planet, celebrations began. On the Harbinger, Admiral Carter received his new orders. The ship would become the flagship of the Alliance fleet. Captain Wright was promoted to fleet commander, with responsibility for all 7 supercarriers. "What happens now?" Wright asked as they walked the long corridors of the massive ship. "We explore," said Carter. "We learn. We make sure no species ever dominates another again." In the ship's main hall, human crew members celebrated with their new allies. Lieutenant Kate Miller showed a group of Tellurite engineers how the quantum drive worked. Officer Sam Wilson shared his findings about the ancient ruins. As the Harbinger prepared to depart Terra Nova, Admiral Carter stood on the bridge one last time. The stars stretched out before them, no longer out of reach, no longer forbidden. "Take us out, Commander," he told the helm officer. "The galaxy is waiting." The massive ship turned gracefully and accelerated into the darkness. Humanity's secret supercarrier had changed the galaxy forever, and their journey was just beginning.